Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalie. I am so glad you're here. This video marks a very important milestone for me, which is I have been in New York for 1 year this month, which is very exciting. Oh, can you hear the plane? March of 2022, I got on a plane in Dallas, Texas with 2 pieces of luggage and like my backpack, flew to New York City, and thus began my journey. I just thought it would be fun to reflect on the year, what I've learned, what I like, what I don't like about New York, because it feels personally like a very big milestone. And that's probably because it took a while to get here, and this has been a very long time coming, this move and like this dream of working in the publishing industry, which is where I work. And I just wanted to make some time and space to talk about it because it's a big deal. I've never been like a huge anniversary person, but I think they're important, and I think they are good markers to stop and reflect, because I just like cannot believe it's been a year. So welcome. We're gonna do some like introspection, which is where I thrive. I love introspection. This is like classic me, but I think it'll be fun. I'm gonna set the stage a little bit for some context. Last year, right before I moved, I was living in Dallas, and I had a remote job with my current company. So I work at a Big 5 publisher. I'm an editorial and marketing assistant, and I got the job in December of 2021, which was like, but part of the stipulation was that I would have to move to New York once the offices reopened in Manhattan sometime in the spring. And so I took the job knowing that I would have to move. And this is what I wanted. I was working towards getting to New York because I knew for the career I wanted, that's where I would be. And I had kind of gone on a roundabout journey of LA to being on the road to being in Dallas. And it just kind of was this like prolonged event. And that, you know, that brought me to March, and I thought, okay, this is the time because the offices are going to reopen in the spring. I'm going to move now so I can like settle in for like 2 months, which is just not any time to settle into like one of the like most chaotic cities in the world, right? But naivete is hindsight also, I would say. So in March, the first week of March, I packed 2 suitcases full of things. I think they were both like exactly 50 pounds. I had shipped some books and boxes to my new apartment. I just had like subleased a room that I found on the internet in West Harlem, and got on an airplane. My best friend picked me up because she lives here and has a car, and drove me to my new apartment, dropped me off. It was like a thing, but it was like literally one Sunday, the first week of March, that I was like, okay, I live in New York City now. And so would begin one of the most whirlwind, turbulent years of my life. And I know that sounds so dramatic, but it is true. And I don't want to go like too deep into some of it because it's a little heavy, but it was a tough year to have moved to New York. And I think that's why taking the time to think about it is important, because I can see how tough things were, how far I've come. So I moved in March, and I was in a long distance relationship with the person that I had been living with in Dallas. And then like pretty immediately went through a breakup. I can laugh about it now. At the time it was devastating, yeah. I would still say there are like parts of me that are healing, and that's okay. Like I am somebody who is open about like that type of stuff. Like I don't think grief or heartbreak are like taboo or anything to be ashamed of. So unfortunately, that just kind of set the tone for what my next couple months would look like in New York, because it just was such an unanticipated shift in my life and what I thought moving to New York would look like and what my plans for the year would look like, because that person had been factored in. It just wasn't ideal. And you know, it's my first like 6 weeks living in the city, and then all of a sudden I'm going through like a really bad breakup, and it just was like, okay, I'm gonna grieve. I am going to try to figure out how to move on and get past this in like a healthy and productive way. But I do think it was a really hard like introduction to the city. when you meet new people in the city, it's such an easy icebreaker to be like, how long have you been in the city? What do you think about it? And it was really tough those first couple of months because people would be like, oh my God, you just moved, how's it been? And I would be like, it's okay. It just was a really tough way to start something that I had been working towards for so long. And this was a serious relationship that I was in. So I think it took time. Like it honestly took me a really long time to work through the like really gritty, tough parts of it. So I would say that's like my first summer in New York. Couldn't really tell you what I did. I saw friends. You know, I'm excited for summer this year because I think it'll be a very different experience. It's really tough to grieve when it's like 90 degrees outside and all you want to do is sit in your apartment. So that was the summer of grief. I would say May through August was really tough. And I don't feel like I really saw the city. I mean, I did, but I think I was just so deep in my own like heartbreak that it doesn't really count. It counts, but it's hard. I feel like I really didn't feel like I lived in New York and had like my eyes open and my head above water until September. But even then, like so much had changed in that time. In May, I started going back into the office and was going into work 2 days a week and meeting all my coworkers and meeting people in my company and like having to socialize that way for the first time, which was exciting. And I work in Midtown, which is like the hub of Manhattan. Not the hub, it's like where so many people work. So you just are like, there's so many people, which is exciting and really fun, honestly. I don't love Midtown, but I have these moments of walking to work where I'm like, oh my God, I work in New York City. It just feels exciting. I'm sure that'll wear off. And then in September, I moved again. And that, I feel like that was really like, what's the saying? The straw that broke the camel's back. Because I had just been like doing it like, I'm gonna get through this, I'm gonna be okay. And then I had to move again because I was only on a 6-month sublease. So I moved from West Harlem down to Brooklyn, and it was a great, like, I'm glad it happened because I really love my apartment and my space. And I live right next to Prospect Park, which is, it just is a dream. But having to move again after just having moved and going through a breakup, like it just was too much. So that was can you see the theme? It's been a tough this is not all this video is going to be about, I promise, but it just took a lot out of me, like physically and emotionally, to move and get resettled again and to like adjust to Brooklyn because it's very different than Manhattan. But I do feel like that's when things started to change after that first really tough month in October. There's this song I love by Two Door Cinema Club called Changing of the Seasons. And it's a breakup song, but it also is just this idea of like it just must be the changing of the seasons that's helping me to like feel different about the space I'm in life. And that's how I felt in October. The leaves were changing, the weather was changing. It felt more of what I expected that first couple months to feel like, where there's so much opportunity, there's so many people to meet and talk to and get to know, and that's when things really started to feel exciting and like, oh, I live here and this is really cool and fun. And it really kicked off this super social period of life that I feel like I still currently am in. I joined a soccer league, I joined a dodgeball league. I became friends with more coworkers, so I was going out with them and meeting like their friends and roommates and like developing like a community and social network. And I started dating again, and that was a big deal. And just really intentionally putting myself out there because I felt like it was the first time I could breathe and see clearly of like, okay, I have New York City at my fingertips. What am I gonna do with it? Which is cool. So that was the fall. And the winter, the winter is the winter. But I was really nervous about my first winter because I am not used to the cold, and it has been surprisingly okay. It's still pretty cool because it's March. We didn't really get a lot of snow. So that season of socialness and the fall kind of just snowballed into the winter months of kind of keeping it up. I've been really trying to develop a community and continuously meet people, and still going on dates and trying to figure all that out, and just like really put myself out there, even in the dead of winter, which was wild to me. I thought the winter I would like be alone in my apartment all the time. No. So I just wasn't expecting that. So yeah, so the winter was great. I went home for the holidays, and seeing a new side of the city was really cool. And again, just kind of feeling that like that like social energy of driving, a driving force of like, I'm gonna continue to try and meet people, put myself out there. I do feel like I got a little burnt out at the beginning of the new year because I had been making so many plans, and like really I was out like most nights, which is a lot for me. I'm fairly introverted, and I just had to take a couple breaths, and work was like nuts, and it's okay. I'm feeling a little bit more refreshed. But then that brings us here, the new year. I celebrated New Year's with some of my best friends. It was so fun, and just have been now kind of eerily awaiting the spring, and my year mark snuck up on me. Here I am, a full year later, living in Brooklyn, still working at the same job, feeling really proud of myself, feeling optimistic about the future, and kind of thinking that I'm gonna be here for a while, which is just wild. Okay, so enough about me. Let's talk about the real star of this video, which is New York City. I like New York. I don't feel like I can strongly say that I love it because I've only lived here a year, and that feels irresponsible. No, I'm just kidding. Here are a few things that I really like about the city. I love how anonymous you can be. I can put in my earbuds, get on the train, have a whole day, and not talk to anybody unless I want to. And I love that. But because I think there's like empowerment in anonymity. You are in a sea full of people, and no one cares about what you do. And it really is along the lines of that expression of like, dance like nobody's watching. It's like nobody is watching, and if they see you, they like do not care what you do, because there are so many people doing like weirder things. And as somebody who does not like attention, I have found that to be very empowering, just because like if no one cares what you do, the stakes are so low. Like I feel like I've experimented more with my fashion, or like what I look like, because it's like a creative expression that normally I would feel judged on, like walking out into the world. And here it's like literally no one cares what you look like. That is one of my strongest like, I love this city moments, even though I just said I don't. But I'm like, oh God, I love being anonymous. Another thing that I've found very beautiful, and which ties into this idea of being so much more social than I would have anticipated, is that I feel like it's easier to be social here because of public transit, and honestly just because of the like momentum and energy of the city. All you have to do is be willing to step outside your apartment. That's it. The energy, the flow, the people are there, and that has made it easier for me to like go out and meet people, to meet new people, to go on dates, like, because it feels, when things feel tough, it's like, oh, I just need to walk outside. I think so many more places and experiences are accessible because you can walk, you can get on the train, you just need to take one step out and you're already just jumping into the current. And for me, as somebody who is more introverted, I am social, but I am not usually somebody who is like orchestrating the plans, getting everybody together. I'm like, I will be there 100%, I will not flake. But it's helpful that I don't have to create that own energy for myself. The energy of the city already exists. Literally all I have to do is step out into it. Like it is, I really think that's why I've been able to meet so many more people here and already make new friends. The energy is already there. It's New York. Which leads me to another very obvious pro, is public transit. I don't even think I need to say more. I love walking. I love getting on the train. I don't love getting on the train, but it's so convenient. It's so cheap. It takes me everywhere I need to go. And of course, the city itself is just very beautiful. You have the mix of the buildings and the architecture and just like the compact nature of the city, and then beautiful greenery. They do such a good job with the parks, Central Park, Prospect Park, where I live by. It's just unlike anything else. Over the fall, I was running a lot at the park, and there was one day I was out running and the leaves had changed color by this point, and a big gust of wind came and all of these leaves were just falling from all the trees as I was running, and I was like, this is my cinematic moment. Like, it felt very euphoric and very like, this is where I'm supposed to be. But nature will do that for you. So I think it's a really beautiful city. For as like ugly as it can be, you'll see some stuff for sure. Sorry if the light is changing. My battery died and I am now going to be losing daylight, and I still have more to film, and so I am not that great at editing and post-production, so this is just to say that this could look bad. We are also dealing with a surprising amount of planes, which I've never noticed or heard. Now, what about the things that I don't like? Honestly, just sometimes it's like the things that make it beautiful make it also really tough. Like the energy, it can be extremely draining. Even if you don't talk to anybody, you are surrounded by people. It just can be tiring always being surrounded by so many people. And there's really no place to ever be alone besides your apartment. You can like go sit at a park, but there's always people there. And I remember, this is gonna sound sad, and I don't mean it to sound sad, I have cried in so many public places in New York City. Only because there's no place to go that's private. Besides like the bathroom at my work or my apartment. But if I'm out and about, you're on a subway train, where are you gonna go? Where to cry privately? Literally nowhere. You're out walking around. There's not even like alleyways that you can like huddle in. So that is, I think, it can be overwhelming. There's nowhere to go to be alone. You're always surrounded by people. I also think just the physicality of it and the elements, like you walk a lot of places. Well, I personally, because of my budget and my beliefs, I would say I walk a lot of places. I take public transit, but that means rain, snow, 95-degree weather while it's thunderstorming. You are walking outside in it. You are walking far. You're going up and down flights of stairs. You are carrying your groceries all these places, and then I'm climbing up 4 flights of stairs every time I want to get up into my apartment or like take out the trash. I think it can be a really tough city on your body for that reason, and it just takes an adjustment. Like, I do think I'm in better shape now because I do walk everywhere, but sometimes the last thing you want to do is like lug all of your stuff home. I don't know, it just is a different, I think it just requires a lot more physicality, and because the weather, you know, compared to SoCal for me is very different, and so that has been an adjustment. It's been tough. One of like the hardest things for me when I first moved, especially over the summer, was grocery shopping, because I just couldn't figure it out. And I know that sounds so dumb, but the closest grocery store to me when I was living up in Harlem was like a 20-minute walk, which isn't bad. But when you have 4 bags, which was the max I could carry, but also I didn't want to be going to the grocery store like 5 times a week, it just took me a while to figure out the rhythm. So now I go like twice a week, but I alternate between like a Trader Joe's to get cheap dried goods and then my local grocery store to get fresh produce. But again, sometimes I'm coming home from work, the last thing I want to do is stop by the store and then lug 4 bags of groceries home. I don't know. It was like the bane of my existence for so long. I was like, grocery shopping, I don't understand how to do it here. I've always had a car. I would always buy everything I need for the week, because here I don't have the space to store a ton of stuff. I can't buy in bulk. Things are expensive, so I have to be very specific with where I shop. It can be a lot, which leads me to the next really tough thing about the city, which is very obvious. It's so expensive. It is incredibly expensive. And I've lived in Los Angeles, I've lived in Orange County, both like with both arguably high cost of living, and it's tough sometimes. I do have like a pretty tight budget because my industry is notorious for not paying well, so there is that. But even like my friends who make good money, they all have roommates. It's just an expensive place to live, and that can be limiting. And that's where you turn to free things like the park or grabbing coffee and going for a walk. You know, sometimes you have to be strategic about how you're spending your money to socialize. And I think that is one of the hardest parts about the city, and why a lot of people don't move here, is because that cost is so high. And I get it. Like, I think about money a lot, and that is an added stressor and an added burden, and would probably be the main reason I would ever consider moving at this current point. Is like, is this sustainable? Can I afford this in the next 5 years? And that's a question I'm quite honestly always evaluating. Okay, so that's kind of a general overview of what my year has been, what I like, what I don't like, how it's challenged me. I feel like I've learned so much. And 1 year down, many more to go, I would say. I think I'll be here for a while. I'm really losing more light. More and more light is disappearing from us. There's just so much to continue to like explore and experience that I don't think 1 year is enough to really have a definitive answer of like what the rest of my life will look like. I don't have a 5-year plan. I don't have a 2-year plan. I have through the end of my lease, which is in May, and then I'll figure it out. But for now, the plan is to re-sign in this apartment, stay in Brooklyn, continue to see where this wild journey of New York City takes me. All that to say, my first year in New York has been one for the books. There's always a part of me that wants to say this has been one of the hardest years of my life, because it's true. But then there's the other part of me that's like, but it's also been so beautiful and full of so much growth and transformation. I hate using words like that, but it's true. And I like feel myself growing and changing and leaning into different parts of myself. And so I don't really know how to classify this year besides just the year I moved to New York City. This was very introspective and very like, this is specific to me, but this is my channel, so I can do that. I just wanted to highlight a very big like marker in my life, which was surviving 1 year in New York City. And I am glad I did, and I'm glad I'm here, and I'm excited to see what comes next. And maybe I'll do one of these every year. That'd be cool. Like next year's like 2 years in New York City. How do I feel? Maybe I'll be a completely different person. Doubtful, but you never know. Never say never is my life motto. It's not my life motto. I don't have one. Should I get one? It's time to wrap this up. I've been talking for too long. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to take y'all on my New York journey as we continue to explore and see what else is out there. So thanks again, and I hope to see you in a video very soon.